Your hands are shaking. Your heart is racing. That familiar voice of self-doubt creeps in, whispering that you're not strong enough to face what lies ahead. We've all been there, moments when life's challenges seem overwhelming, when our inner strength feels more like a distant dream than a reality. But what if I told you that true strength isn't about never feeling weak? What if the path to unshakable resilience has been hiding in plain sight for over 2,000 years? The ancient Stoics discovered something remarkable: that genuine power comes not from eliminating our vulnerabilities, but from transforming how we respond to them. Picture yourself facing those same challenges, but with an inner calm that cannot be disturbed. Imagine having the mental tools to turn any obstacle into an opportunity, any setback into a stepping stone. This isn't just philosophical theory, it's a practical path to building the kind of strength that lasts. Let me show you how to forge that strength, using timeless wisdom that has guided everyone from Roman emperors to modern-day leaders through their darkest hours. When most people think of strength, they imagine bulging muscles or an unwavering poker face. But true strength, as the Stoics understood it, runs far deeper than physical power or emotional suppression. It's the ability to maintain your principles and peace of mind regardless of external circumstances. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire at its height. Despite wielding almost unlimited power, he found his greatest strength not in his armies or wealth, but in his ability to remain humble and focused on what truly mattered. "You have power over your mind, not outside events," he wrote. Realize this, and you will find strength similarly. Epictetus, who spent his early life as a slave, demonstrated that true power comes from within. Despite his chains, he developed an inner freedom that no master could touch. He taught that our strength lies not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering our responses to it. Seneca, advisor to emperors and one of history's greatest teachers of resilience, showed us that strength isn't about being invulnerable. In fact, he argued that acknowledging our human fragility is the first step toward genuine fortitude. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials, he observed. This Stoic view of strength stands in stark contrast to our modern misconceptions. We often mistake aggression for power, stubbornness for resilience, and the suppression of emotions for mental toughness. But true strength, as these ancient teachers revealed, is about maintaining our humanity and principles, even in the face of adversity. It's about having the courage to face reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. It's about developing the wisdom to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, and the fortitude to act accordingly. This is the kind of strength that doesn't fade with age or circumstance, it only grows stronger through life's challenges. At the heart of mental resilience lies a fundamental truth that the ancient Stoics understood deeply: the world is largely beyond our control, yet our response to it remains eternally within our power. As Epictetus wisely taught, some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. This distinction between what we can and cannot control forms the bedrock of unshakable mental strength. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed by circumstances, perhaps a missed opportunity, a difficult relationship, or an unexpected setback. The distress you felt likely came not from the events themselves, but from struggling against what was already beyond your influence. The Stoics teach us that true resilience begins with accepting this basic reality. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, Epictetus advised, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and your life will go smoothly. This isn't passive resignation, but rather an active redirection of our energy toward what we can actually influence. Consider how much mental energy we waste daily trying to control the uncontrollable: other people's opinions, the weather, the past, or the countless random events that shape our lives. The Stoic path to resilience starts with releasing this exhausting struggle and focusing our strength where it matters most: our own thoughts, actions, and responses. This shift in perspective doesn't make life's challenges disappear, but it transforms how we face them. When we stop exhausting ourselves fighting against reality and instead direct our energy toward what we can change, we discover a wellspring of inner strength that no external circumstance can diminish. As Epictetus reminded his students, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Building this foundation of resilience requires daily practice. Each time we face a challenge, we have the opportunity to ask ourselves what aspect of this situation is within my control. This simple question becomes our compass, guiding us toward effective action and away from futile resistance. Picture yourself taking an ice-cold shower first thing tomorrow morning. The mere thought probably makes you shiver. Yet this is exactly the kind of voluntary discomfort that the Stoics advocated for strengthening the mind. Seneca himself practiced taking cold plunges, explaining that we must sometimes live, even in the way that the unfortunate live. To make fortune's power less formidable, the Stoics understood that comfort is a silent enemy of mental strength. When we consistently avoid discomfort, we become increasingly vulnerable to life's inevitable hardships. But when we deliberately seek out challenging situations, we build an immunity to difficulty itself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Think of voluntary discomfort as a vaccine for the mind. Just as a vaccine introduces a small amount of a pathogen to build immunity, controlled exposure to difficulty builds psychological resilience. Start small, take a cold shower, skip a meal, sleep on a hard floor, or wear uncomfortable clothing for a day. These aren't acts of punishment but opportunities for growth. The key is to maintain mindful awareness during these experiences. Notice the initial resistance, the urge to escape the discomfort. Then observe how these feelings subside as you stay with the experience. This is the muscle of resilience growing stronger. As Epictetus taught, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body, but voluntary discomfort extends beyond physical challenges. Practice speaking up when you'd rather stay silent. Take on tasks that intimidate you. Have those difficult conversations you've been avoiding. Each time you choose discomfort over ease, you're telling yourself a powerful truth: I am stronger than my desire for comfort. Remember, the goal isn't to live a life of constant hardship. Rather, it's to develop the inner strength that makes us capable of handling whatever life presents. When we regularly step outside our comfort zone by choice, we develop an unshakable confidence in our ability to handle discomfort of any kind. As Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Our minds are like fortresses, and just as a fortress requires careful design and maintenance, our mental strength demands deliberate cultivation. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply when he wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The first principle of building mental fortitude is the practice of perspective taking. When faced with a challenging situation, pause and ask yourself, will this matter in a year? In 5 years? In most cases, what seems overwhelming in the moment shrinks significantly when viewed through a broader lens. As Marcus Aurelius advised, look back over the past, with its changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too. Consider the technique of negative visualization or premeditatio malorum. Spend a few minutes each morning contemplating what could go wrong in your day, not to breed anxiety, but to prepare your mind and appreciate what you have. When you mentally rehearse challenges, you develop an emotional immunity to them, making real obstacles feel familiar and manageable. Another powerful mental training technique is the practice of self-dialogue. When you encounter a difficult situation, speak to yourself as a wise and compassionate friend would. Marcus Aurelius demonstrated this in his own writings. Say to yourself, first thing in the morning I shall meet with people who are meddling, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and unsocial. They are subject to these faults because of their ignorance of what is good and evil. Develop the habit of questioning your initial reactions to events. When something appears negative, ask yourself, is this truly harmful or merely inconvenient? Is my judgment helping or harming me? This mental discipline transforms reactive thinking into responsive wisdom. Remember, as Marcus taught, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Train your mind to seek opportunity in adversity. Every challenge contains within it a chance to demonstrate virtue, to practice patience, to show courage, or to display wisdom. This isn't mere positive thinking, it's strategic mental positioning that turns obstacles into advantages. Picture yourself receiving devastating news. Your heart races, your mind spirals, and emotions threaten to overwhelm you. Now imagine having the emotional strength to face this moment with unwavering calm. This isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about developing what Seneca called an impregnable fortress within your mind. At the heart of emotional endurance lies the practice of negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. But Seneca taught that he who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Begin each day by briefly imagining losing something you value: your job, your health, or a relationship. Don't dwell in fear, but acknowledge these possibilities with clear eyes. This practice doesn't breed anxiety. Instead, it cultivates genuine gratitude and prepares your mind for life's inevitable challenges. Consider also Seneca's wisdom on attachment. It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who hankers after more practice, loosening your grip on external circumstances. When you enjoy something, remind yourself of its temporary nature. Your morning coffee, a sunny day, a friend's company. Appreciate these fully while understanding they aren't guaranteed. The key to emotional resilience lies in distinguishing between what truly belongs to you and what doesn't. Your judgments, your intentions, your responses, these are yours to control. Everything else, let it flow as nature intends. When something disturbs your peace, ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, practice saying, this is not mine to control, and redirect your energy toward what you can influence. Train yourself to pause between stimulus and response. When emotions surge, create space by taking 3 deep breaths. In this space, remember Seneca's words: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Examine your emotional reaction. Is it serving you? Is it aligned with reason? This isn't about suppressing emotions, but understanding them with wisdom. Develop your emotional endurance through incremental challenges. Start with small irritations, traffic, minor setbacks, harsh words. Use these as opportunities to practice detachment and maintain equilibrium. Gradually, like a muscle strengthening through exercise, your emotional resilience will grow to handle life's greater challenges with increasing grace and stability. Your mind staggers at the thought of being exiled to a remote island, stripped of all wealth and status, forced to work as a slave. Yet this was precisely the fate that befell Musonius Rufus, one of Stoicism's great teachers. Rather than breaking under this burden, he transformed his exile into a powerful testimony of Stoic resilience, teaching fellow exiles how to maintain dignity and purpose in the face of severe adversity. Consider Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who faced a devastating plague that killed millions, betrayal from his closest generals, and the constant weight of ruling an empire in crisis. His response: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Each challenge became an opportunity to demonstrate and develop virtue. These ancient examples illuminate our modern struggles. When you face a job loss, remember Rufus teaching philosophy while performing hard labor. When confronting illness, recall Marcus Aurelius governing an empire while battling chronic pain. Their wisdom shows us that circumstances don't determine our response, we do. Think of modern challenges: a career setback, a failed relationship, financial hardship. The Stoic approach teaches us to ask, what aspect of this is under my control? Then, like an archer, we aim our efforts precisely at what we can influence, letting go of what we cannot. The key lies in reframing adversity as training. Just as an athlete needs resistance to build strength, we need challenges to develop resilience. When facing a difficult situation, ask yourself, how can this make me stronger? What virtue can I practice here? Every obstacle becomes an opportunity for growth. This isn't mere positive thinking. It's about taking concrete action within your sphere of control while accepting what lies outside it. Lost your job? Focus on updating your skills and networking rather than dwelling on market conditions. Facing illness, direct your energy toward treatment, adherence, and maintaining a healthy mindset rather than lamenting why it happened to you. Remember Epictetus's words: it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. In every challenge, however severe, lies the seed of growth and transformation. Your task is to find it and nurture it into strength. Picture this: you're stuck in gridlock traffic, already late for an important meeting. Your hands grip the steering wheel tightly as frustration builds. We've all been there, fighting against a reality we cannot change. Yet in this moment lies a profound truth that the Stoics understood deeply: true power comes not from controlling external events, but from mastering our response to them. Acceptance, in the Stoic sense, isn't about passive resignation or giving up. It's about seeing reality clearly and choosing how to engage with it wisely. As Epictetus taught, we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. That traffic jam isn't inherently good or bad, it simply is. Our distress comes from wishing it were different. Think of acceptance as the difference between swimming against a current and learning to navigate within it. When we resist what is, we exhaust ourselves fighting the unchangeable. When we accept, we free up energy to focus on what we can actually influence. Let's put this into practice. Next time you face an unwanted situation, pause and take 3 deep breaths. Notice your immediate reaction, the tension, the resistance, the desire for things to be different. Now, simply state the facts of the situation without judgment. There is traffic. I am in it. Feel how this shifts your experience. Consider keeping an acceptance journal. Each evening, write down 3 situations you initially resisted that day. Examine what happened when you fought against reality versus when you accepted it. Notice how acceptance often reveals options you couldn't see when caught in resistance. Another powerful practice is what the Stoics called loving your fate. Instead of merely tolerating what happens, actively look for its hidden benefits. That delayed meeting might allow you to prepare better, make an important phone call, or simply practice patience. As Marcus Aurelius said, everything that happens happens as it should, and if you observe carefully, you will find this to be so. Remember, acceptance doesn't mean inaction. Rather, it means choosing our actions from a place of clear seeing rather than emotional reactivity. We accept the present moment fully, then decide what we can do from here. This is the paradox. True power begins with accepting what we cannot change. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern psychology has only recently begun to prove through research: the vital importance of psychological flexibility. This ability to adapt and respond effectively to life's challenges, rather than rigidly fighting against them, is at the heart of both Stoic wisdom and mental resilience. Consider how Marcus Aurelius advised us to be like a rocky promontory against which waves continuously break. The rock remains unmoved while the water flows around it, adapting to its presence. This image perfectly captures what psychologists now call psychological flexibility, the ability to stay grounded in your values while adapting to changing circumstances. To develop this capacity, begin with the practice of perspective shifting. When facing a challenge, pause and ask yourself, how else might I view this situation? Perhaps that difficult colleague is actually teaching you patience. Maybe that setback is redirecting you toward a better path. This isn't mere positive thinking, it's about developing the mental agility to see situations from multiple angles. Create a daily flexibility practice by intentionally altering your routine. Take a different route to work. Use your non-dominant hand for simple tasks. Engage in conversations with people who hold opposing views. Each small act of adaptation builds your capacity to remain stable through greater changes. When faced with obstacles, practice the Stoic technique of reframing. Instead of labeling situations as good or bad, simply ask, what opportunity does this present? This mental pivot transforms rigid resistance into flexible response. As Epictetus taught, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Remember, psychological flexibility isn't about bending until you break, it's about finding strength through adaptability. Like a bamboo stalk that bends in the storm yet remains rooted, we can learn to move with life's challenges while maintaining our core stability. This balance of firmness and flexibility is what allows us to emerge stronger from adversity. Integrate these practices into your daily life by starting each morning with a simple question: what might I need to adapt to today? This mental preparation primes you to meet challenges with flexibility rather than rigidity. And each day, by reflecting on how you adapted, celebrating both your successes and learning from your struggles. In the grand tapestry of Stoic philosophy, character stands as the ultimate expression of inner strength. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of character development through Stoicism. It's not about theory, but about daily action and consistent practice. Think of your character as a sculpture, continuously shaped by every decision you make. Each choice, no matter how small, either reinforces your principles or slowly erodes them. There is no neutral ground. When you choose honesty in a difficult moment, when you maintain your composure in the face of provocation, when you help others, despite your own challenges, these actions gradually forge an unshakable character. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal reflections, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This teaches us that character isn't built through grand gestures, but through our responses to daily provocations. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a colleague takes credit for your work, when life seems unfair, these are not obstacles to your character development. They are the very opportunities that enable it. Consider the practice of integrity in small matters. Before you speak, pause and ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Before you act, consider, does this align with my principles? Would I be proud to have this action known? These moment-by-moment choices are the chisel that shapes your character. Remember what Marcus Aurelius taught us about the interconnected nature of character and action. What you do repeatedly becomes your character. Start your day by setting clear intentions for how you wish to conduct yourself. When faced with decisions, choose not what is easy, but what strengthens your character. When you fail, as we all do, treat it as valuable feedback rather than a final judgment. Your character is your true wealth, the only possession that cannot be taken from you. It's the foundation upon which all other forms of strength are built. In times of crisis, it's not our physical strength or intellectual prowess that sees us through, it's the strength of our character, formed through thousands of small choices made day after day. Let me share with you the essential daily practices that will build your mental strength through Stoic wisdom. Start each morning with the practice of negative visualization. Before you rise, spend 5 minutes contemplating what could go wrong today. Not to breed anxiety, but to appreciate what you have and prepare your mind for potential challenges. Throughout your day, practice the pause. Whenever you feel an emotional reaction rising, take a deliberate 3-second breath. In this space, remind yourself of what is within your control and what isn't. This simple ritual creates the distance needed for rational response rather than emotional reaction. Make reflection a cornerstone of your daily routine. The Stoics emphasized the evening review, a practice of examining your actions without judgment. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where could I improve? What lessons can I take forward? Turn everyday irritations into opportunities for growth. When stuck in traffic, practice acceptance. When dealing with a difficult person, treat it as a chance to exercise patience. These moments are your training ground for resilience. Implement the dichotomy of control in every situation you face. Before engaging with any challenge, explicitly identify what aspects you can influence and what you must accept. This mental habit alone will dramatically reduce unnecessary stress and frustration. Practice voluntary discomfort daily. Take a cold shower, skip a meal, or choose the harder path intentionally. Each small act of chosen difficulty builds your capacity to handle life's unexpected challenges. Maintain a gratitude practice, but with a Stoic twist. Instead of simply listing what you're thankful for, imagine losing these things. Feel the depth of their value. Then return to the present moment with renewed appreciation. Finally, end each day by reminding yourself of your mortality. Not in a morbid way, but as Marcus Aurelius did, to ensure you live fully and purposefully. Ask yourself, if this were my last day, would I be proud of how I lived it? These practices, performed consistently, forge lasting mental strength. They're not merely philosophical concepts, but practical tools that, when applied daily, transform your resilience capacity. Remember, just as physical strength requires regular exercise, mental fortitude demands daily training. True inner power isn't a destination but a continuous journey of growth and refinement. The strength we've been cultivating through Stoic principles needs to be maintained and deepened through consistent practice. Think of it as tending to an inner garden, one that requires daily care but yields lasting rewards. To create sustainable inner power, we must weave Stoic practices into the fabric of our daily lives. Start by establishing what the Stoics called a ruling principle, your core values and beliefs that guide every decision. When faced with challenges, let these principles be your compass rather than fleeting emotions or external pressures. Remember that lasting strength comes from small, deliberate actions repeated over time. Each morning, set your intentions for the day ahead. each evening, review your actions with honest self-reflection. This rhythm of intention and review creates a feedback loop that continuously strengthens your character. Integrate the practice of premeditatio malorum, anticipating challenges with a modern twist. Rather than simply imagining difficulties, develop specific response plans. When you face setbacks, treat them as opportunities to implement these plans, turning theory into practical wisdom. Your relationships become a crucial testing ground for your inner power. Practice seeing difficult people as teachers, challenging situations as classrooms. Let every interaction become an opportunity to embody the principles we've discussed: patience, acceptance, and rational response rather than emotional reaction. True power lies in consistency rather than intensity. It's better to practice these principles imperfectly every day than to strive for perfect application occasionally. Remember, Epictetus's wisdom progress comes not from studying philosophy, but from living it daily. Create systems that support your practice. Perhaps it's a morning ritual of reading Stoic texts, a midday pause for perspective, or an evening journal entry. These routines become anchors that keep you grounded in Stoic principles, especially during turbulent times. And most importantly, remember that this journey isn't about becoming invulnerable, but about developing the strength to handle vulnerability with grace. True inner power isn't the absence of weakness, but the ability to work with it wisely. As we conclude our exploration of Stoic resilience, remember that you already possess everything needed to begin this transformative journey. The ancient wisdom we've discussed isn't meant to sit on a shelf, it's meant to be lived, tested, and proven in the laboratory of your daily life. Take that first step today. Begin with the morning ritual we discussed, just 5 minutes of reflection before your day begins. Choose one small discomfort to voluntarily embrace. Practice viewing one challenging situation through the lens of Stoic acceptance. These teachings have endured for over 2,000 years because they work. They transformed Marcus Aurelius from a reluctant emperor into a sage leader, helped Epictetus find freedom despite physical slavery, and gave Seneca the strength to face death with dignity. Now it's your turn to carry this torch forward. Remember, true strength isn't about becoming hardened or unfeeling. It's about developing the resilience to remain steady in life's storms while maintaining your humanity. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to practice, every setback a chance to grow stronger. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to be willing to begin, to persist, and to return to these practices again and again. Start now. Take what you've learned and put it into action. Your journey to unshakable inner strength begins with this moment.